Oh, I better fix my makeup, keep it cool for the internet and such.
Hello everyone, it's your non-binary pal Rowan here, trying to live my best life despite the cis nonsense. And I've got to say, recently I've been feeling a lot of imposter syndrome about my gender and just a lot of intense dysphoria because, obviously, if you look at me, I'm quite feminine, right? Even just the way I move my hands and articulate, it's very feminine. So, that's just something I've recently embraced because I really do love femininity, just aesthetically and just the energy of it. I really love it, but I also know that I am definitely not a woman. So that's something that's already hard to explain, which means that it's very often that I go out and it's something that I need to teach people about. It's something that I need to just feel like I need to constantly justify it because I feel like the world in general is just constantly yelling at me, you can't be you. So anyway, with that in mind, I had the pleasure of reading an article on The Guardian this morning called "Let's Drop the Gender Stereotypes, We Are All Non-Binary" by someone called Hadley Freeman. Now, if this isn't an obvious red flag, I really don't know what is. The article in itself, I guess there's some merit to what they're saying, because they essentially are just trying to say that we shouldn't have boys' sections of things and girls' sections of things, which is, I totally agree with that. And I was lucky enough as a child to have parents that actually cared what I was into and would take me shopping with them, so I didn't just get a bunch of shit that I hated. But yeah, the problem is they essentially argue that this duality of interests, liking masculine, typically masculine and typically feminine things, therefore makes you non-binary. And they always write non-binary in quotation marks as if it's a fake term. I'll just read you a quote from it, which is just the pinnacle of why I friggin' hate this article. So they say, "Too often discussions of gender today, rather than expanding boundaries, only contract them. When people say they're non-binary, it sounds to me more like they swallowed the lie of pink and blue onesies, because the point is, everyone really is non-binary. There's no one that's a wholly pink butterfly or blue car onesie. We are all, to varying degrees, purple spaceship onesies. And yes, that is the scientific term." So basically they're defining gender identity on gender expression and interests. And this is why I hate it when sources get cis people to write about trans experiences, because some people realize that they're trans by longing for something that's the other gender. That's not why they identify as trans. They identify as trans because there is a disconnect between what they feel and what their body is, or what their body is perceived as. And I guess in saying that everyone is non-binary, they're also essentially arguing that trans people are their assigned birth gender, but they're really just a different kind of boy or a different kind of girl, which is just incredibly ignorant and incredibly transphobic. It's a refusal to listen to anything trans people have to say. And this idea that gender is solely based on interest, I don't know where that comes from. It's so glaringly obvious that this author has never looked at themselves and felt that kind of disconnect has never kind of, I mean, looked at, you know, like their younger brother going through puberty and like suddenly everything fell into place, or never through their own puberty like slept on their chest hoping that that meant that boobs wouldn't grow. And it's just this mentality as well of dismissing non-binary identities that is been so damaging to me lately, because, and you know, not all non-binary people do, and I'm not saying that, but I personally want to go through some like gender transition stuff. Like I have been saving up to get top surgery for ages, but a lot of the surgeons I'm interested in require, you know, at least one, but most of them two separate letters of support from different psychiatrists. And when I, at least the person I'm seeing at the moment, they look at me and they say, but you don't identify as a boy, why would you want this? It's this complete, like, blanking of what I'm saying, that the gender dysphoria I have is real, and just because I don't identify as something that they can recognize doesn't make it less real. And that's incredibly painful to hear, because it means that I don't know how much longer I'm going to have to wait to get a surgery that could really improve my life and just my well-being by like an immeasurable amount. And then to read this and have non-binary written in quotation marks all through this page, it just makes that mentality make so much sense to me. That whole just complete, like, refusal to listen. And it makes so much sense where, like, all those memes with, like, don't misgender me, triggered, I identify as an attack helicopter. It makes sense where they come from. It's this, like, hatred of non-binary identities. And so to just take all that hurt that I have just, like, come to own as someone who is non-binary, and then say everyone is non-binary, just no, they're not. You're not non-binary, Hadley Freeman, if you think it's just because you liked a masculine toy once in your life, or you wore boyfriend jeans once in your life. That doesn't make you non-binary. You can't come on and basically erase people's pain like that. It's just not okay. I am non-binary. You can be a purple spaceship onesie if you want, but you can fuck off and never write about trans issues ever again in your life, Hadley Freeman, because no one wants to hear it.